Good evening, wherever you're joining us from. My name is Patricia Roxon Hammond, coming to you live from our studios at Kwabenya Point 1. This is NEWSBOARD. Let's take a look at our headlines in Ghana and around the world. NAGRAT requests a meeting with GES about the reinstallation of the trimester system. The rider who was allegedly engaged in the Apiati explosion asserts that he did not collide with the explosive carrying vehicle as previously stated. Minerals Commission to regulate the manufacture and transport of explosive in the wake of the Apiati disaster. And at least 16 people have been killed in a fire at a nightclub in Cameroon. You can also watch us on all our social media handles at NewTVGH. And now to the details. Ghana Global Standards 1, a system established by the Ministry of Health, will track drugs entering the nation and trace them back to the entire value chain, including patrons. It will also aid in the fight against substandard and fraudulent drugs and medical supplies in the healthcare system and on the market.
The GS1 initiative is a global coding standard for products, including healthcare and pharmaceuticals, that provides identification, capturing of data, and other mechanisms. Also referred to as pharmaceutical traceability, the system will allow for product traceability and authentication to ensure compliance among industry players, including the provision of supply chain efficiencies. It further ensures visibility of products from the plant to the patient, promote trust in the pharmaceutical sector and healthcare system, decrease the presence of low quality and fake medicines, and ultimately ensure safety among patients. The Minister of Health, Mr. Kweku Agyeman-Menu, who launched the system in Accra, said it formed part of efforts at delivering the core mandate of the ministry, ensure the health and safety of the people. The minister called on stakeholders to help the government leverage the initiative to address challenges of data integrity and visibility of pharmaceutical products in a way that would enable healthcare workers to provide safe, quality pharmaceutical products and services for clients through an identification and verification system.
The National Association of Graduate Teachers, NAGRAT, says it is looking forward to meeting with the Ghana Education Service to learn more about the new academic calendar, which will be implemented in basic schools after the reinstatement of the trimester system. The Ministry of Education has changed its mind on the proposed semester-based timetable for kindergarten through junior high.
While commending the development, President of NAGRAT, Angel Karbonu, stated that the meeting is crucial in determining the fine details. The directive for basic schools, including kindergarten and junior high schools, to change the trimester-based calendar to a semester-based one last week was received with controversy, with many teacher unions kicking against it. Many of them were not enthused that the government had not engaged them on such a major switch, although the government insisted that it did hold extensive consultations with them. Some of the education workers vowed to resist the directive and called for its withdrawal. After hesitating initially, the government has now decided to reverse that decision. The Ministry of Education in the statement indicated that the decision was taken after engagement with various education stakeholders, and the conclusion was to reinstate the trimester system. Consequently, the first term starts on January 18th to 14th April 2022. The second term commences 10th May and ends on 18th August 2022, while the third term will span 13th September to 22nd December 2022.
The rider of the tricycle said to be involved in the Apiati explosion claims he did not collide with the explosive carrying truck as being reported. He said he was rather hit by another vehicle from behind and rushed to the nearby health facility before the explosion occurred.
Preliminary investigations by the police indicated that a mining explosive vehicle moving from Takwa to Cherno gold mines collided with the motorcycle, resulting in the explosion at Apiache, a farming community between Bogosu and Bordier in the Pristia Huni Valley municipality in the western region. A team of investigators from the Criminal Investigative Department of the Ghana Police Service on Sunday January 23, 2022, interrogated the truck driver and the rider of the motorcycle believed to be involved in the accident. The team interrogated the two persons at the disaster site as part of measures to unravel the cause of the explosion. The truck driver declined to engage the media after the interrogation, saying, quote, "I have been instructed not to speak." The CID team said the interrogation would help to unravel the circumstances that led to the accident and the subsequent explosion. 14 people were killed and 179 others were injured in the explosion, which occurred on Thursday, January 20th, 2022. The Minerals Commission on Saturday shut down Maxim Ghana Limited, owners of the explosive truck, to pave way for investigations into the incident. Vice President Mahmoudou Bawumia, who led a government delegation to the community on Friday, said government would collaborate with the State Housing Corporation and mining companies to construct temporary housing facilities for those displaced by the explosion.
And on to some business stories. Although AngloGold Ashanti Aduaprim Mines supports the Minerals Commission's decision to regulate the manufacture and transport of explosive in the wake of the Apiat disaster, Stephen Asante Yamoa, senior manager in charge of the mining at AngloGold Ashanti Aduaprim Mines, says the closure of Maxim Company Limited will have a negative impact on the operations of over 6 mining companies in the country.
Touching on the track record of Maxim Company Limited, which is a Spanish entity, the senior manager said Maxim has for over 30 years been offering responsible mining support services in explosives to several mines, including AngloGold Ashanti, hence the sudden closure will have a significant impact on their productivity. He added that Maxim supply AngloGold Ashanti, Chirano Mines, Perseus Mines, Ghana Manganese Company, Adamus Mining Limited, and Awasu Bauxite. So this directive will have significant impact on the industry if they don't put in remedial actions immediately. He said their first expectation as industry players is the enforcement of the regulation, though the directive will have far-reaching consequences on the industry as far as production is concerned. They are in support of it because it is consistent with the laws of the land. He added that they will work closely with the regulator and also the service providers to make sure that they reduce the impact of directive to the barest minimum.
The Chief Executive Officer of the Chamber for Tourism Industry Ghana, Emmanuel Triku, has asked the Ghana Tourism Authority to educate players in the hospitality industry about the importance of paying their 1% tax levy rather than shutting down facilities that have not done so in recent times. The GTA shut down 3 hospitality centers in the capital last week because they owed over $600,000 in taxes.
Business operators in the tourism and hospitality sector are mandated to pay their 1% tourism levy, but Hillview Hotel, Suma Court Hotel, and Taiba Cafe, all in Accra, failed to do so after several attempts to get them to comply. Emmanuel Triku said players in the hospitality are willing to pay all levies expected of them, but asked for some form of collaboration and sensitization from the GTA, even as the hospitality industry is trying to recover and cope with the impact of COVID-19. Quote, "We are partners in this business. Closing a facility while it is supposed to be a corrective measure to make sure the system is running is problematic. Shutting down drives customers away, and the authority wants to go to the same places to collect levies from them. So I think this approach should be looked at again. Nobody's saying that they are not willing to pay, but the year just began, and everybody's restructuring. So this is something that should be done in a friendly manner so that every business will be sustained and we can have the tourism industry well sanitized."
Former Finance Minister Mr. Seth Tekpe has indicated that Ghana's economy may collapse if government does not consider prudent measures to salvage the situation. According to him, based on the assessments by Bloomberg and Fitch, there's sufficient evidence to suggest that Ghana's economy is not in a fine shape. Therefore, government must roll out swift interventions to avert a possible collapse of the country's economy.
So Bloomberg is warning us that apart from the difficulty you have now, we know by now that we are using all our tax revenue basically to pay compensation and the interest on previous loans. What this means is that even the loan we borrowed previously, we are borrowing to refinance. So Bloomberg is saying if you are coming from this situation and then you are coming to the market to refinance, some of the old loans, right, then you are having difficulty because remember, we did not go to the market for the extra 2 billion, last year. Okay. We were supposed to borrow 5 billion because our situation was deteriorating, and I stand for correction, but that's the way the markets interpret it. They think that because you are having difficulty borrowing, a good example is the zero coupon bond that we did. It was described as innovative and the rest, but the cost was expensive. For 500 million, which we were to receive, we received only 350 million approximately upfront, which means that we gave away 150 million. If you do a simple average, it means the interest Ghana was paying was about between 30 to 40%, depending on whether you are expressing it on the 350 or on the 550. So they are looking at this situation in which our budget is very tight, very, very tight. We are borrowing to service current loans, and therefore they are saying, is this bond? Bond is your loan is broken into pieces and then it's sold. And the price is the interest rate that you pay. So people holding, when they say people holding it, either would demand a higher price, right, when you come to the market because it's risky, it's become risky, or they will just shed it. And once they shed it, it means that everybody says there's a problem with this bond. And that is the days that they were. Within a matter of week, we had all these slippages.
We'll be right back with more news after this break. Welcome back. And on to some international stories. The UK has begun to withdraw staff from the British embassy in Ukraine amid warning of a Russian invasion. Officials said there has been no specific threat to British diplomats, but about half of the staff working in Kiev will return to the UK.
It comes as the U.S. ordered the relatives of its embassy staff to leave Ukraine, saying a Russian invasion could come at any time. Russia has denied having any plans for military action in Ukraine. The U.S. State Department also warned people not to travel to Ukraine and Russia due to the ongoing tension and potential for harassment against U.S. citizens. Quote, there are reports Russia is planning significant military action against Ukraine, an advisory from the State Department said. However, the move is a precautionary one, and nothing specific is thought to have occurred in the past 24 hours to have triggered the decision. Non-essential U.S. embassy staff have also been told they can leave, and U.S. citizens have been urged to do the same. The U.S. has stressed that it is not an evacuation, but the State Department told the AFP news agency that if there was a Russian invasion, it would not be in a position to evacuate U.S. citizens. The European Union will not be doing the same at the moment. EU Security Policy Chief Joseph Borrell said he will not dramatize the tensions.
Members of the Taliban are meeting with Western officials in Norway for the first talks in Europe since the group took control of Afghanistan. The talks, set to last 3 days, will cover human rights and the humanitarian crisis in the country. The UN says 95% of Afghans do not have enough to eat.
A number of protests have taken place in Europe, with critics claiming the Taliban should not be rewarded with the meetings. On Sunday, members of the Taliban met with the human rights activists, but the details of those discussions have not been revealed. One feminist activist, Jamal Afghani, told AFP news agency that the negotiators showed goodwill. Quote, let's see what their actions will be based on their words, she said. Monday is said to be the most significant day of talks with Taliban members meeting Western officials. The group are said to request access to billions of dollars that are frozen in U.S. banks. Afghanistan has seen unemployment and food prices soar, whilst the values of its currency is plummeting and banks have set limits on cash withdrawals. The United Nations have warned that hunger threatens 55% of the population. Western envoys are expected to emphasize the importance of a more conclusive Taliban government and human rights. Since taking power, the Taliban have told most female workers to stay at home, while secondary schools are only open to boys and male teachers.
At least 16 people have been killed in a fire at a nightclub in Cameroon's capital, Yaoundé, the government has said. The blaze was caused by fireworks that were lit where champagne was being served in the club. At least 8 others were seriously injured in the fire in the early hours of Sunday at Leaf's nightclub.
The fire engulfed the main room of the venue in the capital's upmarket Bestos district. Quote, "The tragedy, which was caused by explosion from the fireworks often used in these places, first consumed the building ceiling, resulting in 2 very loud explosions, causing panic and stampede," the communications ministry said in a statement. The emergency services were still searching the venue, and the number of dead could rise, it added. About 100 people gathered outside a hospital morgue for news about their relatives.
And on to some sports stories. The Stallions of Burkina Faso beat Gabon 7-6 on penalties following a 1-1 draw in regulation time to qualify to the quarterfinals of the Total Energies African Cup of Nations Cameroon 2021. Substitute Ismaila scored the all-important winning penalty to send the Stallions through following a marathon shootout.
Kangayanis Yapinde and Loyal Paloun missed for Gabon, while Seydi Sampour and Abdul Tabsoba failed to score for Burkina Faso. The last 16 match had everything in it: a missed penalty, 2 disallowed goals, and a sending off. The Burkinabs started brightly against Panthers, winning a penalty inside 13 minutes in the first knockout match of the tournament. Forward Issa Kabor won the spot kick following a late challenge from Gabon's Sydney Obisa. Bertrand Traoré fired the resulting penalty against the woodwork with keeper beaten. Gabon continued to push, searching for the equalizer, but Kweku Kofi denied them. The Royal Charleroi keeper pulled a smart low save to deny Boapenza.
The Super Eagles of Nigeria are out of the 2021 African Cup of Nations. They lost 1-0 to Tunisia in their Sunday encounter in the AFCON round of 16. Barely 2 minutes after he was brought into the game, Alex Iwobi was sent off for a bad tackle. This is after Tunisia shocked the Super Eagles of Nigeria by scoring 2 minutes into the second half.
The Super Eagles had faced a tough challenge in the first half of their encounter against Tunisia at the ongoing Africa Cup of Nations. An opening by Nigeria became tough in the 21st minute as the Tunisian attackers put pressure on Nigeria's defenders. Skillful attackers Moses Simon and Kelechi Iheanacho failed to sparkle as they barely got a chance on the pitch that evening in the tough game. Simon played a major role when the Super Eagles won their group matches against Egypt, Sudan, and Guinea-Bissau. Kelechi Iheanacho of Nigeria is shown a yellow card in the 20th minute. Struck by many absences, including 12 players testing positive for COVID-19, Tunisia proved tougher for the Super Eagles than expected. While Tunisia had 2 goals on target, Nigeria had none in the first half. The Super Eagles were the only side to get the maximum points in their group stage. Nigeria started the campaign with a 1-0 win over record champions Egypt, followed by a 3-1 victory over Sudan, and concluded the group with a 2-0 win against Guinea-Bissau. Champions in 1980, 1994, and 2013, the group stage maximum tally and entertaining performances were expected.
And on to some entertainment news, Regina King is suffering an unimaginable loss following the death of her 26-year-old son, Ian Alexander Jr. The Oscar winner says the family is devastated at the deepest level by the loss of her son. He is such a bright light who cared so deeply about the happiness of others. Our family asks for respectful consideration during this private time.
Alexander Jr. was King's only child, whom she shared with ex-husband, the record producer Ian Alexander. King and Alexander got married in 1997 and were together for a decade before divorcing. According to multiple reports, Alexander Jr. died by suicide. He had just celebrated his 26th birthday on Wednesday. Alexander Jr. was no stranger at red carpet events. He often walked them with his mother and attended numerous special events throughout Los Angeles. She was immensely proud of her son, and she took tremendous pride in being a cool mom.
And finally, actor Arnold Schwarzenegger has been involved in a car accident in Los Angeles, his spokesman has confirmed. A woman was hurt in the four-vehicle crash, which occurred on Friday afternoon. Photos from the scene show a large SUV on top of the three other vehicles at the intersection near his home in the upscale neighborhood of Brentwood.
Police said that no arrest had been made and ruled out the involvement of drugs and alcohol. The former California governor's spokesman confirmed to the Los Angeles Times that he was driving the SUV when the accident occurred but was not hurt. Photos after the crash show the 70-year-old standing on the side of the road talking to the other drivers and the police officers. A police report seen by CBS Los Angeles said that Schwarzenegger was, quote, near the intersection of Sunset Boulevard and Allen Ford Avenue when a collision occurred with a red Prius making a U-turn as it continued through a red arrow signal to turn left. It added that the SUV rode on top of the red Prius and then ended up hitting two other vehicles. Tabloid news site TMZ reported that the woman driving the Prius had had injuries and was taken to hospital, but her injuries are not thought to be life-threatening.
And that's it for NEWSBOARD. Let's take a look again at our headlines. NAGRAT requests a meeting with GES about the reinstallation of the trimester system. The rider who was allegedly engaged in the Apiati explosion asserts that he did not collide with the explosive carrying vehicle as previously stated. Minerals Commission to regulate the manufacture and transport of explosive in the wake of the Apiati disaster. And at least 16 people have been killed in a fire at a nightclub in Cameroon. Thanks for watching. My name is Patricia Roxanne Hammond. We came to you live from our studios at Kwabenya Point 1. Good evening.